You're listening to the BBC World Service. I'm Julian Marshall with NewsHour. We return to the Libya crisis. I'm joined now by General Carter Ham, commander of U.S. Africa Command, which has taken the lead in coordinating and implementing the no-fly zone over Libya. He joins us now from Africa Command's headquarters in Stuttgart, Germany. Now, how close are you to securing both strands of the mission, namely securing a no-fly zone over Libya, and secondly, protecting civilians against attacks from Colonel Gaddafi's forces?
Julian, on the first side of the mission, the no-fly zone, we have an effective no-fly zone in place now. Participants from many nations executing this, and we have, since the initiation of operations on the 19th of March, we have seen only one violation of that no-fly zone by a Libyan military aircraft, and that aircraft was engaged. So the no-fly zone is effective. The next step is to transition command of the no-fly zone to NATO. That will occur this weekend. The second part of the mission is the Protect the Civilians mission. That's currently being executed under coalition authority, under my command, and our Joint Task Force Commander Admiral Sam Locklear. It is my understanding that NATO has accepted in principle to undertake that mission, and they'll discuss in the coming days how and when to transition that mission. That's the toughest mission we have at present.
But could I repeat my question, which is how close are you to ensuring that civilians are safe in Libya from attacks by Colonel Gaddafi's forces?
We have had some great success already. It is important to remember that when we started this operation, that regime forces were threatening to assault into the city of Benghazi, and the hundreds of thousands of people who live there. Those people now no longer live under threat of regime attack. So that, I think, is successful. But to be sure, in other places in Libya, in Ajdabia, in Misrata, in Zintan, that there are civilians who today are threatened by regime forces. It's my mission, our mission, to do all we can to protect those civilians, and we're taking that mission very, very seriously.
Even as I'm speaking to you, there are reports that rebels are entering the city of Ajdabia, which previously had been under the control of Colonel Gaddafi's forces, which still leaves towns like Misrata and Zintan, rebel-held towns that are besieged by Colonel Gaddafi's forces. And here the mission, doesn't it, becomes more complicated. You've got Colonel Gaddafi's tanks and artillery among the civilian population. How are you going to deal with that?
It is the most difficult mission that we have. When we have the regime forces attacking civilians, and they're in very close contact, and they are in areas for which we have to be very conscious of causing additional civilian casualties. We try to the very best that we can to attack with precision, and we are always conscious about limiting or not causing civilian casualties. It does us no good to take out a regime tank, but kills the very people that we are charged with protecting. So this is a very complex mission set. Where regime forces are visible to us and not in close contact, we have had great success, and we've seen some of that around Ajdabia and in other places. It is much more complex, and we are seeking ways to be more precise in our application of firepower against targets that threaten civilians from within built-up areas.
General Ham, could you just clarify one thing for me? As of now, this seems to be a divided mission. On the one hand, you've got the US, France, and Britain taking a lead role in protecting civilians from attack. But command of the no-fly zone operation has passed or will pass to NATO. Why is it necessary to have that division?
Well, from a U.S. standpoint, My president made it clear at the outset that the U.S. military would be focused on a specific set of missions of UN security, of enforcing the rules of UN Security Council Resolution 1973, and then it would be limited duration, and we would transition responsibility to NATO or some other international organization. NATO has agreed upon that. The good news is that we have decades of interaction with NATO. We know how to conduct these operations. So in reality, as we shift command of the no-fly zone to a NATO officer, a great Canadian officer in whom I have great confidence, that I know him, and eventually transition the protect mission as well, those procedures will work out quite effectively. And then they will serve under another NATO commander, and of course ultimately under SACEUR Admiral Jim Stavridis. It is one of those situations that frankly it works much better than it briefs, if I may say that.
General Carter Ham, Commander of U.S. Africa Command, many thanks for being with us.
General Ham, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us.
Okay, thanks very much.